Thank you very much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce the company. So let me start with a company overview. So I'll explain what we do, where we do it, and what makes us successful. So in terms of what we do, we are a designer and manufacturer of electrical products. We sell products in three categories, so wiring accessories, LED lighting, and portable power. Let me just explain those to you. So wiring accessories we would describe as on the wall and behind the wall electrical power delivery. So I'm thinking of light switches, main sockets, and what we call circuit protection, which you might be more familiar as fuse boards. We also sell what we call portable power. So these are the devices that take the power from the wall to wherever you need it. So I'm thinking of cable reels and extension leads. And then the final category is LED lighting, which I think needs no further description at this stage. In terms of where we do what we do, well, we make or buy nearly everything that we sell in China, and we mostly sell it into the UK market, although we do have a growing international presence. We have a large manufacturing facility of our own in China, just outside of Shanghai. We also have a large distribution center in the UK, as well as a number of sales offices in different markets to support our growing international business. Who do we sell these products to? Well, we sell them to distributors. The distributors sell them to a mixture of professionals and consumers. The products themselves are mostly used in RMI construction, and therefore our demand tends to be fairly stable, not particularly cyclical. And the markets, as you'll see in a second, do yield really quite attractive margins. What makes us successful in this space? Well, I've listed the competitive advantages there. So we have established brands, and we have a loyal group of largely professional customers. Those customers understand our brands and the proposition of them. So they know we offer well-designed, good quality, and good value for money products. We have established routes to market with established channel partners. And I think in the industry, we would be known as the product innovators. So we bring technology into this space. And through doing that, we add to the value of the overall category. We have had for many years and continue to have a China advantage. So we were one of the first to move our manufacturing and production to China, remains an advantage today. And we also have an experienced UK management team with many years in the industry. So that's us in summary. Let's just turn to look at the product set in a bit more detail. So I'll start with wiring accessories. So this is our largest product category. It represents roughly half of everything that we sell. It is sold under the British General BG brand, which you can see in the middle of the slide there. It is very well established in the UK, so dating back to 1941. What's great about this category for us? Well, it's a very established brand, as I say. We have a pretty strong UK market position, so number 2 in the market, 15% share. And it generates really quite strong operating margins, so 28% operating margin in this category. And it has pretty decent growth characteristics as well, so GDP plus kind of growth. The next category is then LED lighting. So this is a newer space for us. We have 2 brands, the first of which is Luceco. And that brand we grew for ourselves, established for ourselves organically back in 2013 as the lighting industry moved into LED. Luceco is mostly our indoor lighting brand, although there are some outdoor parts to it, but mostly indoor. We then complement that with, or we have complemented that with the acquisition of a second brand called Kingfisher Lighting, which provides our outdoor range. What do we like about this space? Well, it's a bigger market. So you can see on the slide there, it's worth about £700 million in the UK annually. And it's a big opportunity for us to gain share. So we have a relatively small share today, but it is growing. And it is profitable if you focus on the professional grade, highly specified end of lighting. There is good margins to be made, and that's where we focus our efforts. There is also a very clear channel synergy for us with the rest of our portfolio. So we sell this product through the same channel as wiring accessories, and often we sell it to the same end user, namely an electrician. Okay, so the final category is then portable power. So this again is another established category and brand for us. The brand is Masterplug, dating back to the 1980s. What's good about this one? Well, we have the UK leading position. So we have a 40% share of the UK market with fantastic channel access. And it also is not only decent margin, but very high return on capital. We don't make this product ourselves. We use OEM manufacturing, and we sell it to the distributor largely on an FOB basis, which basically means the distributor collects the product directly in China. So no transportation costs for us and no inventory. Okay, so how do we get these products into the market? So in summary, we use all distribution channels. So we use the retail channel at the top of the page there to get the consumer-facing brands into the market. At the bottom of the page, we use professional channels to get the professional-grade products into the market. For that, we use wholesale, but we also use what we call professional projects. So this is where we are liaising directly with the contractor or the designer or the architect to not only sell the products, but sell the products as part of a design. And this is particularly relevant for our LED business, where the end user wants to know not just what the product is, but how is that product going to look in the space that they have in mind. In the middle, we have what we call the hybrid channel. So these are distributors who sell to both consumers and professionals. And I'm thinking here of the likes of Screwfix and Toolstation. And those familiar with the industry will know that these brands have grown significantly in recent years. Okay, so let's just look at how we distribute each product and which channel do they go through. So I've given you the breakdown of revenue here for each one of the products by channel. If you look at portable power, you can see it's mostly a consumer-facing brand. Most of it, therefore, goes to market through the retail channel. So DIY sheds, Amazon, etc. The other two product categories, so wiring accessories and LED lighting, they tend to be a more professionally installed product, installed by an electrician, and therefore they go through professional channels. But if you put it all together, what we have is a diversity of products and a diversity of channel, which gives us both synergy and also consistent revenue stream. Okay, the next slide then explains how we get the product from where it's made to where we sell it. So on the left-hand side of the chart, you can see our revenue by product origin. You can see that nearly all of our product starts its life in China. Half of the product that we sell, we make ourselves in our own facility. Another 40% is made by our long-standing OEM manufacturing partners in China. Only 10% do we get from outside of China. So certainly Luceco is a China manufacturing play. In terms of where the products end up, as you can see, 80% end up in the UK market, and 20% end up in overseas markets that we have established relatively recently, so they're growing quite fast. In terms of how we distribute, I'd say, well, as you can see, just over half of everything that we sell, we transport into the end market directly. We bring it to the door of the customer's branch, but also there's the option for the larger customers to collect the product for themselves from our factory gates in China, as you can see. Okay, so what has the recent performance of the business been like? Well, we've performed quite well. So I've given you a 11-year history of the group's performance. Now, I'm afraid the scale on this chart doesn't really do perfect justice to the operating profit progression, but if you look at the numbers back in 2019, the business made profit of, 2009, the business made profit of 2.4 million. Today, 11 years later, it makes 30 million. So a more than 10 times increase in profit, as well as good progress on the revenue line, as you can see as well. How have we delivered that? Well, the growth has come in what we describe as 4 phases. So the first phase was the China advantage. So we moved to China around this time. We established our own manufacturing around this time. That gave us both a quality and cost advantage over the competition. So that was the first phase of growth. The second phase, as you can see, actually delivered really quite strong revenue growth. That was led by our move into LED, as well as our establishment of our international operations. So rapid growth in revenue. That actually earned the business the right to IPO, which it did in 2016. Immediately thereafter, we had a couple of post-IPO speed bumps. I think IPO, to be honest, proved to be a bit of a distraction for the business at the time, but we soon then recovered from that and we entered our final phase of growth, which has been more managed. So more managed top line growth, but a focus on the highest quality, most profitable parts of our business with the highest cash generation. And you can see at the bottom of that page what that's done to our operating profit. So our operating profit in the last 2 years has basically tripled. Okay, so what is our strategy? So we focus on attractive markets. On the left-hand side, I've given you the characteristics of them. So they grow faster than GDP. They're not particularly cyclical. They offer high margins, particularly on the professional side of the business, and they're very defendable from new entrants by virtue of strong branding, by virtue of channel access, and by virtue of manufacturing as well. We come to market in those markets with what we consider to be an advantage business model, and it's focused on best-in-class product development, best-in-class manufacturing, both in terms of the quality, the cost, and the responsiveness, and that has proven to be very, very valuable during COVID. And we also offer best-in-class fulfillment and a number of different fulfillment options to the customer. And we invest heavily in our branding to make sure that our customers understand what we stand for. So an advantage business model and a combination of those two things offer what we believe are some really quite compelling financial outcomes. So 5 to 10% revenue growth fairly consistently, 15 to 20% operating margin, 10 to 15% free cash flow margin, and a really quite healthy return on capital at 30 to 40%. The business now throws off a great deal of cash as a result of this, and it allows us to also pay a dividend with a payout range between 40 and 60%. So some compelling and fairly consistent financial outcomes. What is our strategy? Well, we have grown and continue to grow the professional side of the business. That's where we see the most margin opportunity. That's the part of the market that really accentuates our business model. We are growing overseas. We've grown rapidly over the last 5 years. We're growing profitably now as well. So that's a big opportunity for us. We're moving into other product segments. Actually, the move into LED was a great example of this, but there are others that are in the pipeline, such as EV car charging. We're maximizing our return on capital and maximizing our cash generation. We've done great work on this over the last couple of years. That money is or has the potential now to be reinvested in further acquisitions. So we see a lot of potential there. But we're also investing in our business model. So we are driving ever greater performance from our own manufacturing site in China. So particularly through the use of automation. We're also investing in our fulfillment and IT capability as well, just to maintain our advantage in our business model. And the final element is a bit more recent. So as a business, we actually have really quite strong ESG credentials by virtue of our sale of low energy lighting. It's a big opportunity for us to do more in this space. So other opportunities to move into green products, as well as reduce our emissions. So we've got some pretty clear objectives on that. So that's our strategy. This is my final slide before Q&A. So we've just published our results for 2020. This is a summary of them. So starting with the financial highlights, we did deliver some revenue growth despite COVID in 2020. So 2.4% revenue growth to 176 million. We did lose a bit of ground to COVID disruption in the first half, but we recovered really very strongly in the second half to deliver growth overall. There's no question we outperformed the market as a consequence of our business model during the year. So to give you an idea of that, the UK wiring accessory market declined by 6% in 2020. Our wiring accessory business grew by 16% in the same period, so significant market outperformance. The real standout point in our numbers, though, was the gross margin. So 3.6% improvement to nearly 40% for the year. And that totals up now to nearly 11 percentage points of improvement in gross margin over the last 3 years by virtue of that focus on high quality, high margin opportunities for growth within the group. It has driven a really significant improvement in operating profit, including in 2020. So we grew our operating profit by 2/3 to 30 million. We've also turned it into cash. So we are now maintaining consistent double-digit free cash flow margin, and that has continued to delever our balance sheet. So we now have only 0.5 times EBITDA of net debt. And of course, that then provides us with the balance sheet firepower for M&A, which is a key part of the next phase of the group's development. And as a result of that strong profit growth, we managed to double the EPS and pay a healthy dividend. So all of that came out of a really quite robust response to COVID. So our involvement in China gave us really good visibility of COVID right from the outset, and we responded early and in earnest. And the business has responded well to that. And I think there's no question during that phase that our business model has proven to be a real advantage. So we have grown share by virtue of our channel partnerships that we have. We've partnered with distributors that have really grown themselves during COVID. And we've also supplied the market better as a consequence of our manufacturing capability. So all things considered, not a bad COVID year for us, but there's more that we can do. Now we are entering a little bit of a gross margin pressure phase for us because there is some cost inflation that is affecting all manufacturers at the moment. We believe that we can withstand that and we can offset that pressure. And combined with our sales growth, we feel that we can deliver revenue, profit growth, and a good operating margin as we move into the year that we're in. So we're pretty positive about what the post-COVID world looks like for Luceco.
And we've had a good number of questions in, so they may jump around a little bit from subject to subject, but we'll try and get through as many as we can if that's okay. Had a few questions about China, and I'll pick this one out. Do you envisage any problems with the escalation of Western bans on Chinese manufactured goods, specifically electrical ones? So I guess the relationship with China and how does that impact you, if at all?
I mean, the straight answer is no. I mean, China is the workshop of the world. There are very few electrical products which are not now being manufactured in China. It is inconceivable, unfortunately, that there could be a ban on Chinese products. If there was, we would have huge problems as a society, and I can't see it happening.
Okay. You spoke about international expansion and had a question about Europe and Brexit, so the other kind of hot topic. Is this an opportunity? Are you concerned about Brexit, and would that have any impact on future expansion into Europe?
Not really. Our European businesses buy from China directly, so we don't actually trade across the European border, with the exception of exports into the Republic of Ireland, and that has been unaffected. I mean, there was a small impact at the beginning of the year, but it's now normalized. I don't think Brexit would impact our appetite to want to grow those businesses either organically or via acquisition.
And Matt, you said in the presentation that the international business was growing fast. Is it mostly Europe? What territories are you focusing on?
Yeah, so we have operations in Spain, Germany, in the Middle East, based in Dubai, as well as Mexico. So I think obviously, these businesses have not been immune from COVID. I think if you look overseas, some of the lockdown measures that we've seen have been more draconian actually than what we've seen in the UK. So that has disrupted progress a little bit. But up until COVID, these businesses were growing compound average growth rates of circa 20%, so gaining significant share. And we're pretty confident that, right now Europe is about to struggle with its third wave of infection, but once that's in the rearview mirror, we're pretty confident these business can get back to doing what they were doing before.
Okay, question about M&A. And what can you say about M&A going forward? And someone else has asked, and would you acquire businesses to add to the product range or to consolidate an existing product range?
Yeah, so just in terms of the sort of quantum of this, we have a fairly clear capital structure policy. So there's a limit on how much we will borrow to execute a strategy like this, and I think that's appropriate for the circumstances that the world is in right now. But even with those constraints, we still have a war chest of about 70 to 75 million to spend on acquisitions. And if we spend it right, that would increase the earnings per share by about 15%. So it's a big opportunity for us. In terms of where we spend the money, I think there's probably three priorities. So given how strong our existing wiring accessory business is, if we could acquire another wiring accessory brand, whether that be in the UK or Europe, it would be hugely synergistic in terms of the channel access that it would give us, as well as the ability to maybe take the products that they make and make them in our own factory in China. So wiring accessories would be great. If not that, then acquiring a high-end, professionally oriented LED brand would be another great idea. That's exactly what the Kingfisher Lighting deal was for us back in 2017, and we've added a lot of value to that business. Or we could use M&A to move into an adjacent product category. So something else that goes through the professional distribution channel would come with a channel synergy as well as potentially a back-end synergy as well. So actually, if you look at the whole space, there's a lot of white space around us that we can potentially move into.
Had a few questions about, you mentioned the EV product or EV car charging as a potential product for you. Could you talk a bit more to that? And someone's added here, how would you position yourself against Volex, especially in the EV space?
I'm not sure if John has frozen. I think he might have frozen. Yes, he has. Okay, so I think the EV opportunity is absolutely massive. Even if you just look at the UK alone. So I think there are something like 15 million houses that have off-street parking in the UK, and over time, every single one of them is going to need an EV charger. So the business is. We think it will be worth circa £300 million a year in terms of overall market size once EV gets fully penetrated. Actually, at the moment, there aren't any clear market leaders. And I think even if there were, the market is going to evolve. So increasingly, this product is going to be installed by electricians, and those electricians are going to pick up their car charger from electrical wholesale or from the likes of Screwfix, and we have fantastic relationships with all of those distributors. So we have, unlike a lot of these EV startups, we have an enormous benefit, and that is that we can extend our brand into this space. And it's a brand that an electrician would fully recognize, and we have channel access that a startup wouldn't have. So yes, we're very excited by it. We can move into it through M&A, but we can also move into it organically. So I think hopefully within 12 months, we'll be speaking on this platform again, talking about our newly launched EV range.
And we've got a lot of questions. Don't have time to get through very many more. I've got really time for one question. I've had a few questions about the shareholder structure, and in particular the owning by management and institutions. Could you talk through how much management own and who are the key institutional shareholders, please?
Yeah. So I would say insiders of different forms own about roughly half the register. And that's a function of the business being originally private equity owned and then being relatively recently listed. So there's a private equity fund, AIM listed fund called Epic Special Opportunities that owns roughly 25% of the shares. The guy that just left the call owns a few shares as well. So roughly half the register is, you might say, not fully floating. The other 50%, actually, we have some, pretty stable, long-standing institutional holders, all blue chip names that have been with us, really throughout this whole journey. I think probably over time you can probably expect the free float to increase.
I think Matt, that's where the kind of the direction of these questions is getting to, whether that would be the case. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think I think there will be opportunities for some of the insiders to realize their holdings over the next couple of years. I think that's probably a logical progression.